Hello, everybody. We're getting into the grab bag of the first to last Nerdom, and I'm Thomas. And how are you, Mike?
I am very well this week. Things settled down finally. Was able to salvage my dryer and not have to spend a grand. So pretty darn good. So this time last week I was dealing with that, which you graciously helped me give you some time on. Anyway,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no
this is
problem.
the first. I'm Mike, and this is the first to last the Nerdom. And man, and we might have a little bit longer show, maybe not, but we got to catch up on some stuff from last
Yeah.
couple weeks. This new year is off to the races. I thought it would slow down a little bit, but nope, we are
Yeah.
full pace.
Yeah, we're in the year of the rabbit, according to the Chinese, which the rabbits, is known for uh their speed, so to speak. But
Absolutely.
we want this to be the year of the nerdum, so we want to slow it down a little bit and kind of look at and kind of examine what's going on with what's going on. And so I think, Mike, you had something you wanted to start with to kind of
Oh,
focus in on.
oh yeah. Okay, yeah, we might as well dive into the meat of the thing.
Yeah, this
But
is kind of tells in from last year with
yeah,
Adam Sessler and Frosk and
yeah,
G4.
yeah, and I'm not going to use foul language like I did last time because I was very direct in my critique of something that had anyway. It doesn't matter. Um,
Right.
Being a little bit, but I can still be firm with good language. But having said that, and it's the thing is the adjective "good" means nothing. By the way, if anybody says something is good, that means nothing. Just so you know, because it's like good for what? Good on whose scale? Good on what scale? So like these two, I was kind of getting fired up, and might as well lead off with it. You know, it's one thing to be a pot stirrer or a provocateur. If you want to get a little bit more positive around it, like where you're trying to make a point maybe, or you're trying to make a
Hmm.
bigger impact as a provocateur. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong or good or bad or left or right or up or down. Doesn't matter. But I will say this:
Right.
what these two reminded me of right off the bat are Dennis Rodman. Do you remember back in the day, Dennis Rodman was a very flamboyant figure who was very provocateur, like just here I am, just being himself, whatever.
Hmm.
And I will say one thing: Dennis Rodman didn't do that just to get attention. That was who Dennis Rodman was. But the difference between if Dennis Rodman ever did pull a shenanigans, and he's been known to pull shenanigans, but they are serious and people take him seriously, and there's something that comes from it that is somewhat serious because the man had talent. And these two, so Froskerian is so this big thing is that she's retiring or whatever. She's done with gaming, and Adam Sessler is too. When was Adam Sessler ever known as a gamer? Like a competition esports gamer is what I'm talking about. Professional. Never. Nobody's ever said Adam Sessler is a professional gamer. And Froskerian claims to have been one or whatever, I guess. But yeah, yeah, right. I think that certain personalities were picked because they try to be flamboyant. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to back up that flamboyance with some talent. And this is the most positive way I can put my negative spin on this is that Dennis Rodman had talent, and, and he
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
I'll rest. I'll get off my little soapbox there, and
Right.
I'll let you give you some oxygen here.
Yeah. I I really was kind of flummoxed at the end of all of this. I really didn't know how to look at things. However, I did watch Midnight Edge. They released
Okay,
a
yeah, yeah,
video
rep them.
maybe today or the other day that kind of crystallized the what the opinion that I come away with it
Okay,
with, which is Adam Sessler. I remember him from the G4 days, the glory days of the 2000s. I watched him
Mhm.
on G4. I watched him on X Play and whatnot. I enjoyed watching his commentary. But
Right.
I really didn't enjoy his lambasting of gamers um on on Twitter. And as far as what you know Midnight Edge said is basically that's how he feels about things. And that's not how I see see things. And
He,
he has a very much a antagonistic view of gamers, and that's
he,
how he wants to leave things.
yeah, yeah, he and, and I'm not saying that he can't make a point or whatever, but the thing is that when you're so off-putting, you're so toxic. You're so that's a word that gets
Mhm.
well, boy, we love that word this side
Yeah.
of the decade, don't we? Toxic. Anyway, when you're like this and you are just so dang ornery, some of like if you read this, it sounds like what I know a couple folks who are older who are hip to the internet and they give their opinion on it, and they're like oftentimes 9 times out of 10 it's super negative, it's ornery, it's just like antagonistic just to be. But
Mhm.
Adam Sessler is like a God, he's like a porcupine with wrapped up in barbed wire.
Yeah,
Uh, what a pill to swallow
yeah,
for that.
yeah, he seems like the curmudgeon old guy that doesn't change with the times. That kind of does not understand and will not adapt. And Frosk, I kind of got a better opinion of her after the Midnight
Right,
Edge video. Basically, she kind of put herself out there and kind of fell on the sword with the idea that her and her fellow compatriots in the gaming industry would uh kind of represent her. And they when they found out that she got all this negative attention, they were kind of fleed from her like she was the plague.
right.
And that's sort of way she kind of attacked things on her goodbye message from the industry in her tweets. And that's kind of uh kind of sad and kind of fitting for her. Kind of
I,
fitting for her saga.
I
I don't have any sadness for her, but
sure.
I kind of understand where she was coming from. But yeah, in the long run,
Well,
she was going about it the wrong way, and
well,
she ended the wrong way.
again, like I don't have any sympathy. I think you're a little bit more even balanced than I am, because I have no I don't hide my opinion, my negative opinion of this individual, and particularly this individual, and the fact that if you, again, going back to my Rodman analogy, if you have the talent, guess what you get to do? You get to pull off the whatever you're trying to do, whatever your
Mhm.
point is, whatever your shtick is, whatever your persona is. And this is definitely we kind of talked about our offline. It's not really germane to our what we cover. But if you are a certain personality, then you either bring it and you have it, or you don't. And if you don't,
Mhm.
then you look like you have egg on your face and you look like a fool for it. So I
Mhm.
understand, the industry, and I'm not saying the world is fair, but guess what?
Mhm.
When is the world ever fair? And you know what? For
Yeah.
the where this individual, where they got to walk, where they got to go do their thing, I have no doubt that that was a challenge. I would never be able to do that, I'm sure, just
Mhm.
being fair. So I'm sure it does take a little bit of talent. You can't just be
Yeah.
any Yahoo who plays
Yeah.
video games in your spare time if you're going to do esports. In other words, professional gaming, serious gaming, not snickering, not laughing at it, not saying it's less than, because those guys do. What's the guy's name? He can do no wrong. Ninja or whatever.
Ninja. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
one. I don't even know. see, I'm a boomer about this anyway. But the point is that like
yeah, you should be all about Logan and his prime drink.
I guess just also and maybe having talent is the wrong argument. Maybe the thing is if you would have been a little bit more contrite, and I'm not even saying you had to be contrite. Maybe you didn't have to. But if you were just a little bit more human and approachable for this whole thing, people would not be piling on like they are. But you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. You doubled down. And people, there's one thing that people cannot stand, and it can be authenticity. That's not it. Arrogance. This is the arrogance of this.
Right.
It's just like,
yeah,
I think that plays in more with Adam Sessler than probably Fruskier. I think Adam Sessler at least can command that kind of sort of respect because he does, he has legacy, whereas Fruskier can't really point to anything, really.
Yeah, I guess the thing, talk like the kids would say, if you're going to make that dunk, you got to be in a position to make that dunk. If you're like, you really have to have that wave behind you. If you don't, you really have to really show your case and promote it. And the way she went about it, she was very abrasive. She was very confrontational and very in your face to the fans that were receptive of this person. So if you're going to like shout in the face of your fans and like be very abrasive, you really have to have the pull to pull that off, and she really didn't. To be able to really pull that off, you really have to be able to pull back and be really kind of bridge that gap. If you think there is a gap between you and the player, you really have to kind of bridge that gap and pull that player across to you and say, hey, I don't think you see my perspective. Hey, this is my perspective. Look at it through my eyes, and let's come together and maybe talk and come together, which was not how she approached things. It was very in your face, very, hey, you think I'm a bimbo, and I'm not a bimbo, and this is how I see things. And
it feels like, and this is where I don't have a problem making a point, even a substantial. I probably agree with this particular individual's assessment of some items that they covered on the show. Right. I probably am sympathetic to that. Okay, so I'm not knocking that, but the thing is you actually have to be able to turn the corner on that, and you have to be able to. It's one thing if something is egregiously if something is just egregious, and there's true injustice there, and it's plain for all to see. It's really something that captures everybody's like imagination and their attention at least, and say, and when I say imagination, I mean like, you can put yourself in their shoes, that kind of thing. That's when it resonates with people a lot more. And it's one thing, but there was no, and you can't. It was random. Two, it didn't play into anything topical of what the hell they were talking about. He was just talking about thoughts and feelings without anchoring that to any objective object or anchor point. That like, so you're just whining on the screen is what I hear. It's not taken. The message delivered is something that is just not whatever. And furthermore, it's something that you can't even find on the internet from their main channel. They deleted it, but now trust me, you'll find it, but it's going to be by some opposition, or somebody has opinion, very sharply pointed opinion. So if you were to have addressed this topic in a different planned, more planned, more something other than how you did it, you screwed up, and you screwed up so bad. It just like there is no injustice there, because like Olivia Munn, all the main points that they were refuting or whatever is like, no, dude, sex sells. Okay. No, nobody said, I don't see, this is the other thing I don't understand on her topic is like, who was telling her that she had to be half naked and like and making dick jokes, like, or every other inappropriate whatever, kind of the shtick of the
yeah.
original show. I don't remember anybody ever saying that to her or making that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why it was very random, and it was very, it was like it was well received, like a punch in the mouth, and that's why so many people reacted, and that's why I I got fired up a little bit. It's just like, who are you?
Yeah, and I think I think that kind of shows well, there was that streamer that they tried to come on to G4 that they were trying when they interviewed her, they were asking her about why would you cancel Batman? And so they were very much of that agenda, which good on you if that's your agenda, but you really have to sell that. You have to sell that to an audience, and that's the fact that that's how you look at things is not the end all be all. You have to really sell that to an audience, and they didn't know how to sell that, obviously. And I think what I took from your speech there, I really love the word egregious.
Well, it was very egregious how they, and the thing is, like, when you come, as the kids say, when you come correct, you better come correct. And if you don't at least come correct with some wood behind your arrow to mix metaphors even further here, you shouldn't. It's gonna undermine your cause. It's gonna undermine everything else that you're about. It is what it is. Like, I don't look, I don't think that and the thing is that, like, what she was saying wasn't all that outrageous.
Yeah, it wasn't all that out there, and she really had a voice that she could use, and she used it incorrectly. She shouted in the wrong way, and she antagonized the fans, which she should have inspired the fans. If you inspire the fans, you may get somewhere, and that's not what she did. She didn't do it. She pissed off the fans. The fans rebelled against her, and the people that were there that could have backed her up, that could have had her back, that could have supported her, did not. And that is very telling, that they rantailed and ran. And the Adam Sessler could say all he wants, but he was silent during all of that, and he didn't say anything. And they could both leave, and he has his money, and she's finding a job somewhere else outside of the gaming industry. But yeah, it is what it is.
Right. So our society literally runs on this very basic concept, which is a cooperation, right? You ask for people to do something, and they either do it or they don't. Or maybe you come in between somewhere else, you do this for me, whatever. We have a very collaborative society. So when you literally tell the audience, don't watch, what do you think happened? That's exactly
right. Yeah.
It writes itself. The jokes write themselves, and I'm not talented at making more. Anyway, but moving on, I'm trying to beat a dead horse here. But so anyway, the whole point of this thing was Fruskerian is retiring. And Adam Sessler is too, whatever.
Yeah, I have a little bit more sympathy for Frost, just because she's younger, and maybe she's made some bad choices. I hope her the best in the world. As far as Adam, I don't care anything about him. He's shown his ass towards everybody, and he's an he's an older person, closer to my age. He should know better, and good luck with the rest of your life. Goodbye.
Right. That's a great way to put that. Is the perfect way to put it, Thomas. You hit the nail on the head. When you show yourself to be an ass, like he definitely did that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm a little bit more negative on whatever, but anyway, moving on to the next thing here. So while we kind of go from like one negative to another negative, and then we'll lead in a little bit more positive here. What's going on with D&D? Like, I'm not in the, it's not my world. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces from family that I know that's
Yeah.
adjacent
Yes.
to it, not really into it, but like, doesn't mind it once in a while.
Right. Right. And I'm not a big D&D guy, so if I'm wrong, you could tell me in the comments down below. But
Right on.
basically, from what I understand is they put in some restrictions. They were going to put in some restrictions a couple of weeks ago that tied people in. It was pretty open as far as being able to come up with campaigns and make money off of Dungeons and Dragons as far as fans and fans created content. Whereas they were trying to put in some more restrictive um, things where they would get a bigger percentage money wise as far as what they could do in the future, and as far as the past on past content. And that was it was going to be now and previously retroactive, and it was very harsh. They were going to take a lot of money away from the creators of and from coming from a very free and open perspective of things and going into a very monetized perspective. Obviously, a company wants to get as much money as they can out of the thing. But yeah, that
Kind
really
of feels like a
turned off.
money grab.
Yeah, it really turned off fans. And as far as I understand it, the fans rebelled before the actual confirmation came down, and I think Dungeons and Dragons kind of backtracked. The Wizards of the Coast, which owns Dungeons and Dragons, kind of backtracked off of that position and haven't implemented that new new regulations. So that really kind of shows you how the impact of fans have on this community, and the fact that they were able to pull back this very egregious position that the company was going to take to get as much money out of the community that they could. Uh, but yeah, it's very good that they were able to
Oh
retroactively
yeah.
pull back on that.
Oh my God, I can imagine. Yeah, they what do they call what back in our day, or in between our days was he really pulled a boner.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is the definition. Yeah, the educational, charitable campaigns, live streams, cosplay. Come on, man. Don't. Oh, why would you do that with the fans? Oh, that's
Hmm.
crazy. Well,
Yeah.
as bad as this is, it has a happy ending, I guess, because
Hmm.
they listened. So props to
Hmm.
them for listening, because there's a
Well,
lot of companies that
yeah.
do not listen to the
Mhm.
fans or the fandom or anybody. They just pick fights with them.
Yeah, the thing is with Dungeons and Dragons, as far as I understand, there's there's not a big monetization focus for Dungeons and Dragons. They put out the modules or whatever. Is a lot of the stuff is fans created stuff, and they were trying to monetize what they could to get as much money as they could from
Right.
a company perspective without thinking about the fans. And you can't do that when it's a fan based uh company like that. With Dungeons and Dragons, it's very fan based. It's everything is built on that foundation of the fan, and to push piss them off. That's kind of
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can't, you just, there's just so many like that, just what you can't like, it's a staple of the community. I know
Right.
people and they post about it
Hmm.
on social media that they're excited
Hmm.
to do their
Hmm.
D&D thing, or that kind of sort of quest type board game type thing,
Hmm.
like which you can play remotely too as well. which has been there's a lot of people that
Mhm.
relied on that during the
Yeah,
pandemic when everything was shut
yeah,
down. Like maybe rethink that, guy. So and they did. So props to
yeah,
them. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
they're
Props to
way
them.
smarter. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got to be smarter than at least half the companies around that don't listen. At least.
Well, they are wizard from the coast, and I'll hold my tongue. They have proven themselves to have a maybe not the clearest vision for a company, but in this aspect, they did good. I'll
Yeah,
say
you're talking
that.
about like penny arcade days, that kind of thing, whatever, way back when.
From what see,
Because there's a lot of
I'm
history
kind
that
of
with them and going back and them kind of pulling a boner. They're known for it, kind of.
yeah. Well, I do not have any stake in the Magic the Gathering community,
Mm,
but as
right.
far as I
Neither do I.
understand, there is some tension between Magic the Gathering and Wizards from the Coast. Again, I've never liked Magic the Gathering. I always
Mm,
thought it as uh you know gambling with fairies and dragons.
okay.
that's
Yeah.
that's I've never understood Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering, so I have no stake in this
Right.
whatsoever. But
Yeah.
yeah, as far as I understand, there is some issues between that community and Wizards from the Coast.
Right. Yeah.
What that is, I don't know.
Yeah. I've only heard bits and pieces over the years through inherited through certain personalities that I follow here and there. Whatever. I just anytime I go to the comic book shop or whatever, you can kind of judge
Yeah.
depending upon the time, like when you go like from the 90s till now, what the predominant kind of board game is or card game, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And like I've always seen the Magic stuff. I've always seen the
Yeah.
Warhammer. I've always seen. It's not
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the.
yeah. As soon as you said, okay, it's Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a cards game. My eyes kind of glaze over at that point. I like, okay, I'm out.
I bet. I absolutely bet that if you had like a classic, you had somebody that had patience who's like, hey, you never played it, let's play a fun game. I bet it would be fun. But again,
Yeah,
not my
yeah,
cup of nerdom, but that's
yeah,
okay. That's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's the beauty of Nerdom. There's it's like a rainbow, and
Yeah.
we
Really
don't
is.
always have to land on on that same rainbow.
Right.
But yeah.
Roy G. Biv, my friend. Roy G. Biv.
Right.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet.
Mhm.
Although I think that's I don't think they say violet anyway. Whatever, doesn't matter. I'm old either way. Yeah, moving on to more topical news. So I didn't really I have some opinion on this, and I think it's more positive. And I don't quite understand, like, I mean I do, but I don't why this was like a big thing or why anybody should care, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I have no care whatsoever. I did bring this up. I did post this for us to talk about, which you're saying, why are you asking me to talk about this if you don't have a care? But a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah.
I think Velma, I I'm not a Scooby Doo fan. I somewhat enjoyed it when I was a kid, but it was never something I was very much into. The
Right.
fact that they want to get all hip and all topical with it, it's cool if it's actually good and fun. But from what I can understand, and from what I can gather from the people that would enjoy this show are not enjoying the show. And
Mm,
I think that a lot of it is they're tuning in to laugh about it. And I don't know if there's legs for this series. Now the fact that I guess that it had enough engagement in this to kind of guarantee maybe a season two of it is interesting, but I don't know if
right.
it'll ever get beyond season two.
Yeah, I don't. What again? I'm not. I don't love nor hate Scooby Doo. I was a little bit too young to enjoy it when it was in the mainstream. I caught reruns or whatever of it. Now I'm familiar with the concept, but it just never clicked with me personally. But putting that aside, at first I was kind of like what is the big deal? And then when I kind of dug into it, I realized what they were doing was Warner Brothers is trying to find their Rick and Morty. They're trying to find their Adult Swim. They're trying to find their Family Guy, but even edgier and rated R, whatever you want to call that, whatever that means to me. I'm just trying to hit the Adult Swim. If you're not familiar with but it's still running a concept that kind of displays obscure, very oddball, oftentimes stoner driven kind of humor, that sort of thing. They kind of had this thing like Robot Chicken, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, more importantly, Rick and Morty. So basically, to me, this is Warner Brothers trying to do their own Rick and Morty. I guess, trying to catch fire, I guess.
To be honest, I didn't see that, but from how you said that makes sense. That really makes sense as far as what they're trying to aim for. Well, I think they missed the mark, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair estimate. I just don't see, like, the thing is that I remember when Rick and Morty was a thing, and the thing actually that made Rick and Morty even bigger was the fact that they had such a gap of time between when the fans were satisfied and like when they could get more shows in the thing. It took a really long time, but in that time, it built up word of mouth for people. So I think that they want this to be that. That's why I kind of like stopped, like, okay, whatever. I know, I see what you're doing here. You're just being extra edgy just to be edgy. And like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, you know what? I'll even be positive and say, I'm not going to watch season 1 because I don't have any interest. In season 2, if it's good, if it's Rick and Morty good, because Rick and Morty it has its ups and downs. And really, you could probably just do 1 through 3 and then, maybe skip to 6. I don't know, whatever. It's been a minute since I've caught up with that. But anyway, you know what? If season 2 is great, same thing that I like to do with the Star Wars stuff and the Marvel stuff. Although Marvel stuff we're more likely to cover than the Star Wars stuff, which we'll get into in a little bit. But having said that, like, if the normies start talking about it or it becomes like a thing, then I'll pay attention. Otherwise, like, I don't.
Yeah. There's no Scooby-Doo in this. So all I have to say is bring in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I think it was like I think it could have been better, but maybe they had a licensing thing, and they had to go this angle, or maybe I don't know. The best I can do is like it's trying to be a Rick and Morty, but it's not.
They bring in Mindy Kaling, for
she's
Velma.
funny.
Yeah, and they wanted to bank on her and kind of bring in the edginess of the humor. And I don't think the edginess of the humor paid off. I think you really have to pay off the humor. And for edgy humor, you really have to be good at edgy humor. And I don't think they did.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mindy Kaling is she's funny. Don't get me wrong, she is definitely funny. Yeah. But she's not that kind of like a battle axe of a comedian. And I mean that in a good way, like a Joe Rogan or like a Dave Chappelle or a Bill Burr. Or like whatever. I think Bill Burr is a little bit more acceptable to some folks, but like those folks that can get away with edginess and have that creativity. Mindy Kaling isn't that kind of comic. I think it's not.
Yeah, to be edgy humor and also check off all the boxes, you have to be really good. I don't think you can. With what you're doing here.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, same opinion. Yeah. Check it out later. But anyway, moving on to X-Men.
Yeah, I found this interesting.
Okay, all right. I kind of read this before. I actually read this rumor on Den of Nerds or whatever, which we'll get to a little bit later.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with this. I think this guy is a Giancarlo Esposito is a great actor. He'd be great as a Professor X. I think what's happening here is, and here's me putting on my tinfoil hat. This is me being conspiratorial. I think this is maybe someone within Disney testing the waters, saying, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" There's they also put out years before, they put out the fact that John Krasinski from The Office maybe being Mr. Fantastic, and then he ended up being Mr. Fantastic in one of the newest Doctor Strange movies.
Right.
I think this is them testing the waters. I don't think this is genuine. Which not to say it's bad, it's just not genuine, I don't think.
Yeah, I saw, I remember seeing a couple things on Twitter about this, like I said, from that one guy who is a YouTube personality who follows some stuff, and I don't know what the track record is. I probably really need to pay more attention to. But anyway, this I don't have a problem with it. Like, and the thing is that like I actually don't even have a problem with Coates is the writer, and what's his face, the I think Brian Jordan, I think, is involved with that. Anyway, there's talk about them doing like a Black Superman. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with any of that. Like, if the only thing I ask for is quality,
right? Quality,
which means that like
I love I love this actor. I would love, I wouldn't mind seeing him as Professor X. Absolutely. If you work that in creatively and do it right, I have no problem.
And they've already done this, and I would argue very well. You had the 2000s X-Men with Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and then later on you had kind of like the throwback to the classic days, which worked too. I enjoyed X-Men, Age of Apocalypse, like those kind of. Some might not like it. I don't think they were like super awesome, but I didn't think they sucked either. I think they did service well. And actually, who we talked about in our main show, shout out to our main show, Harry, and I'm not gonna remember his last name, but he played Beast in those.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Second series of X-Men, and I'll pull it up here in a minute. After I'm done talking with my hands, but that's okay, because that's the thing that you can do on windshield wipers go round. Anyway, you know what? The only thing I ask, if they do this, make it count and give us good quality. So like they've already done that again. They've proven that Sony has proven that they can do that. Can Disney do that? Especially since they've been in a rut with Star Wars and Marvel, as it were. A rut of don't get me wrong, they're still making money hand over fist, but not like they used to do it. And where it's going, it's not gonna be a $2 billion end game like those last two Avenger movies for sure. Anyway, so
actually,
they have room. Go ahead, sorry.
You're talking about the guy from the Menu being the Beast. Anna Taylor Joy, she was actually Magic from the New Mutants movie too. So the menu had a couple of X-Men in it, or X-Men and New Mutants in it.
Yeah, I just asked that they would just if you're gonna do it quality, do it right.
Yep.
And they've proven that they can do it in the past twice. There's no reason why this third incarnation can't work either.
Absolutely.
Whereas what I was talking about on the DC side of the house, that's a lot more rocky, and the fans are already kind of prickly. I don't really listen to that. I just want to see a good story. There's totally room in there to do that, but we'll see. Anyway, speaking of Patrick Stewart, we have something, and I have blind eye to this. And I'm not dumb. I'm not deaf, dumb, and blind. You know, I've seen this before, but like I just don't.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, my friend?
I posted this for us to talk about, just to poke the bear, to poke you and see what you thought of it.
It said to me. I look. I gave Discovery. And this gets personal. This is like, so people get on their soapbox about Star Wars and how it's been, done in or whatever. I get like this on Star Trek because I gave Discovery 2 seasons. I gave it 2 seasons and it broke my friggin' heart. And like, there's no way that I didn't bother with 3 or 4, whatever. I think 4's, I don't even care. Picard, I gave it the whole season. It never turned the corner for me. And I didn't bother. I think I watched 2 episodes of season 2 and I'm like, that was it. And all they're trying to do is just bring folks like me back. Maybe, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not
they're
I'm not.
they,
And shout out to our shows for a cover. I will say this. I don't like Kurtzman. I don't like Bad Robot. I don't like any of those guys. When they touch this, I think that they still have stinky doo-doo fingers, in my opinion. But I will give credit where due. The one that we covered,
Strange New Worlds.
Yes, Strange New Worlds did. I will say this. I will give credit where due. That it was an apology to the fans. I feel I'm taking it as an apology, but it didn't go far enough, and it doesn't carry enough weight for me to forgive for the other 2 abominations unto Trek that we see. Anyway,
And to add to that, I have not seen Picard 1 or 2, so I have no opinion on season 3. I did watch Red Letter Media. They savage the first 2 seasons of Picard.
I agree.
And Mike in his recent video on Red Letter Media, he did actually try Strange New Worlds. He didn't like it. He watched the first episode and a half. He complained that the characters just weren't Trek enough. They were too jokey or whatever. So yeah, he kind of dipped out, but I think both me and Mike are still in on Strange New World, so we're both looking forward to season 2 of that.
Absolutely.
We're both dipped out of season 3 of Picard.
Yeah, I don't. I would say this: if you watched it, you might have to do the Red Letter Media rules, where I don't quite know understand. I'm just kind of pulling a little bit of my understanding of them, but they like where they pick something and then the other has to watch it.
Yeah,
but they watch really, really bad things. So if you did end up watching it, you might force me, and you can always pull up the rule of Red Letter Media rule.
Yep.
But oh man, it breaks my heart. It breaks my goddamn nerd heart. Anyway, I could go on and on, but yeah, I pretty much line up with them. I disagree with them on Strange New Worlds. I think it was. What do you want, man? I mean, you know what? It's like the what was the first brand new trilogy Star Wars movie? Force Awakens. Was it that one?
Yeah.
That one was pretty much a carbon clone copy of A New Hope, right? I mean, it's not original. Like, that's been parroted about. So it's kind of like Strange New Worlds did that, and they did it well enough. Like they nailed it. I mean, they nailed the 60s Trek for sure. Anyway.
Yeah, and if you're familiar with our channel, I've just recently started watching the Next Generation. So I've only watched the first season, so I have several seasons of Next Generations to watch. So I don't have to watch this lesser than season of Next Generation.
Yeah,
I can watch the second one.
Yeah, what I would say, like, and maybe we'll revisit that and pick up another one like that. But I would say we'd probably have to skip to like a season 5, honestly. And because we're not, it might be fun to kind of just drop you into like season 5 and see, compare and contrast the difference between 1 and 5. You know, like you see, it's a whole different ball game, my friend. It is a whole different ball game.
What we could do is maybe, because I kind of like to watch the season, so maybe watch season 2 and then at the end of it just do a recap episode where we just kind of talk about season 2, so that we have those up until maybe season 5 to dive in a little deper.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And well, absolutely. Any way you want to. I'm never going to say no to Next Generation. So like, that's, it's all good. All good by me. But yeah. Anyway,
sounds good.
On. I think I wanted to cover the I think I wanted to just kind of cover this and get it out of the way, whatever.
All
The
right. Yep.
Star Wars, and then I was going to ask you. Yeah. This will be a good segue. All right. So speaking of Star Wars, um, the Den of Nerds is a YouTube personality. He's also on Twitter. He kind of sort of has like a thing like along the lines of like maybe a DVD, Doomcock Overlord kind of thing, but he does
Mm-hmm.
more general, kind of like what we do, but way better.
Mm-hmm.
He has his own little spiel like we do, like we are trying to do,
Hey, we're
and that's
working
fine.
on it. Yeah,
Hey, no, no,
exactly.
hey, no, we're fine. We're two different things here. But he
Absolutely.
says Daisy Ryder or Daisy Ridley is definitely coming back as Rey, from what I've heard. Da, 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 da. I think you'll see more and more of her talking Star Wars leading up to the announcement. That's prediction, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Well, I just want to grab your take real quick. What would you be excited if that were to come true?
Daisy Ridley coming back as Riley. Ray.
Yeah,
It's okay. I have no problem with that. I probably wouldn't
we're,
watch it.
we're
She's
same.
good. She's
Yep,
good
same.
doing what she wants to. Yeah, I've come to the realization that I have no hate for the world.
Right,
It's a lot of fans hate things. I
right,
don't really care that whole much about it. But yeah, you could if you have very strong feelings about that, that's cool. I don't have
right.
any don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, no, the only thing that saves this for me is the fact that I have kiddos, and at the time when The Force Awakens came out, there was a strong pull, and they enjoyed that. My kiddos
Uh-huh.
enjoyed that. Particularly my daughter enjoyed that, and that was fine.
Hmm.
So that's what will bring me back, regardless of whether or not I like Star Wars or not, or anything, because
Hmm.
I'm a parent first. But I'm a fan.
Yeah.
A fan is further down the list of things that are important. And but anyway, this gives us a perfect gateway to step through to go to. Now I have not seen this, but the moving on in Star Wars news, the Mandalorian trailer recently came out. I have not seen it. Be honest with you, like I am a little bit more on the cold side of Star Wars, not because I hate it, just because like I feel like
Hmm.
the quality is there, and then it just kind of goes. I'm just not
Hmm.
interested. Like I just don't. I'm just not invested in this post Return of the Jedi timeline that they have.
Hmm.
To me, I'm too tied to the expanded universe, and I think that the Timothy Zahn original trilogy with Luke Skywalker and Thrawn, the original introduction of Thrawn into Star Wars, I think that would make a far more superior
Hmm.
storyline. But all that aside, um, Mandalorian season 3 coming back. Are you going to watch this when it comes out? You're a little bit more open to it than I think I am.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I love the Bad Batch. Season 2 of the Bad Batch is in action right now. I'm enjoying it. I think the third episode came out, third or fourth.
Very good.
I think
All right.
the fifth episode's going strong. I enjoyed that. I haven't watched the new trailer for the Mandalorian. I don't get into the next trailer. If I'm into a show or a movie, I'm
Right.
not really interested in the trailer. I don't want to be have spoilers for myself, so I don't usually watch it. Yeah, I have no problem with the first couple of seasons of The Mandalorian. I've
Oh
enjoyed
yeah.
both.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely dip into the next season of Mandalorian. Once it turns me off, it turns me off, and I won't watch it again. But yeah, so far I've been into it, and yeah, I mean it's had its ups and downs, but there hasn't been anything that like really turned me off to it. So yeah,
Right. Right.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely watch to it. Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
definitely saw. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I don't have any problem with Baby Yoda.
No. 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 No.
He's cool with coming back.
No, not at all. Matter of fact, on the other side of the living room, I have two Grogu Baby Yoda things that we picked up because like the kids and I like to watch. We actually we got to catch up on season 2, but I kind of like they weren't really interested in. I kind of just let it slip through, and I just didn't really return from season 1. But and I was gonna say that that reminded me of Mandalorian. Did you ever end up watching Andor before we move on to next thing?
Yeah, I did watch all of Andor.
Yeah,
I
what'd you think?
enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the first half of Andor. I think I liked the second half of it less than what
Okay.
everybody else liked about it. I kind of there was a section of it where Andor ended up on a prison planet sort of situation, and it was interesting. I didn't get lost in it, but I didn't it didn't engage me as much as the first half, and I think the last half of it, or last third or fourth of it, was engaging, and I enjoyed that. But yeah, it was enjoyable. um yeah, I guess it was broken up. The first season, if we're going to break it up, it was broken up into 4 sections. The first 2 sections, the first section was really engaging. It sort of introduced Andor. The second section was sort of the heist section of it. The third section was sort of the him being trapped on this prison planet sort of thing, which didn't really engage me. In the fourth half of it, was him. I won't get into that just for spoiler's sake, but that was interesting as well. So yeah,
All
I
right.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for the most half of it, for the most of it, but there was a third of it that kind of let me down a little bit.
What was it? Similar to like a Western, like but in space, or Star Wars Western?
Yeah, the first half, or the first fourth of it, was sort of like a Western.
Okay.
The second quarter of it was sort of like a heist,
Okay.
which was sort of like a heist movie,
Hmm.
but with Star Wars kind of themed stuff. The third quarter of it was sort of like a prison scenario,
Right.
which, depending on, it had really great acting. Like the guy that played Gollum, what was his name from? And
Um,
he also did the voice for uh uh what's his name from Planet of the Apes?
let me go look here.
Yeah. Caesar from a Planet of the Apes. um Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis.
Uh,
He was like a major guy in the third quarter of it. It was really good in that third quarter, but again, he was yeah, that section of it was really engaging, but kind of brought the tempo down a lot of bit. So I didn't enjoy that quite as much as the rest of it, but that last fourth kind of brought it back up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the second season. Again, I think there's only 2 seasons of Andor, so and again, I like the idea that they were thinking about doing a 5 season version of Andor, but then decided to cram it down to 2 seasons. So it
mm-hmm.
kind of compacted down those various ideas down to just 2 seasons, and I think that really was beneficial as far as the story.
Right on. Yeah, that's I've heard good things about it.
Mhm.
I probably won't. I just it has to be really good for me to, or like, hey, Mike, you got to see this. Then I would. But I don't sense that that's one of these things. And like if I get around to it, I might put it on. But yeah, this very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I've heard that this is like kind of like what fans were waiting for. Good old it brought the Star Wars back a little bit more so than some of the more obscure takes.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of new
yeah, and
series
watch Bad Batch. Bad Batch is season 1
absolutely,
and
yeah.
2.
Well, I'll
Yep.
make sure I put a link there in the description
Yep.
here as we move on. But yeah, speaking of new shows like that, we have The Last of Us, and I'm very curious about this. I definitely want to give it a go. Whether we covered it or not, maybe not, I don't know. But in any case, I've heard good things so far, but it's on HBO Max. Last of Us with Pablo Pascal, I think. Yep.
Yep.
Good God. Pedro Pascal. Good God. This is so much of a rookie I am. I have heard kind of side conversation on it from like Midnight's Edge and those kind of folks. And I have heard that it's pretty good, and it's worth probably a good shot. So we'll see. I remember playing the video game a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a video gamer per se, and that was in the waning years, like when I actually played games on a semi-regular basis. And I don't think I ever finished it. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'm basically, what I'm saying is I'm coming in with some knowledge, but not the full thing. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I tell you what, since you're coming from the non-gamer perspective, I'm coming from the gamer perspective. I've played Last of Us, at least Last of Us Part 1. I have not played I've never played the second game. I played the first game, loved it. I played the whole game. I loved it. I have no interest in watching the show. The reason why is I played the game. I played the game. I love the game. I love the characters in the game. The characters in the show don't represent the characters that were in the game. I play the game. I don't see the game. If there was enough, the game portrayed a dramatic situation throughout. If the show was going to give me something different than what the game was giving me, maybe I'd be interested in. But it's giving probably the same story with different actors, and I like the actors from the original game. I don't see where my interest is. Now, if you're going to watch the show, it may be interesting to have you watch the show and try to convince me to watch it. As a jaded gamer that loved the game, that doesn't want to see the show.
I will. I do. I kind of gonna. I want to go back in time a little bit because I do remember this. I played the game enough. I didn't finish it, but I did play the game enough. Like when I was married at the time, I remember that was one of the very rare video games that the other half, the female side, who could care less about any damn thing that I did, playing a game or otherwise, unless it was like a Nintendo something or nostalgia kind of thing, but that was very rare. But when I was playing the start of the game, it is go play the video game, go play season 1 of the first version of this. I would echo you. Don't bother with the second one. I heard too much kickback about. If I go back, actually, I'd probably go back and play this because I have a PlayStation 4 and I can go back and probably get it really cheap too. But this tells me, you told me a couple things. But one is probably like, are we gonna fire up the PlayStation and take it out of my kiddo's room and then be like, sorry, Dad's got to take over this for a little bit. I got to go check this game out again. But anyway, going back to make a point here, my wife at the time was actually interested in what was going on. She was actually like, this is a game. She goes, this is like a movie. And I was like, yeah, but it's better because you can play. She goes, oh, she actually watched. Well, I played for a good hour or two or whatever it was. Anyway, it was very to note. The game itself also was pretty pretty groundbreaking in how it did things. I would say that this is probably the quintessential video game. If you're
Yeah.
not a gamer and somebody you started playing this as a video game and you were terrible at video games, this is the one to do it, because you would get sucked into it for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and also I loved the first game.
Right.
And then the second game came out. I was very interested in playing that, but then there was some gameplay game players that actually played it and kind of spoiled the first portion of it. I won't get into it because of spoilers, but it went in a direction that I totally did not like.
And that's what I heard.
I never played the second game. Again, that's my bias. So the game could be absolutely great. Again, I did not play it, so I can't say whether or not it's good or not. I just, from what I heard, I did not like. So it kind of turned me off from the franchise. So that may be an additional thing that keeps me from the show, because I know that probably it's going to lead into a second or a third season that will lead into what is in the second game. So maybe I'm kind of keeping the purity, at least in my mind, of the first game, and not getting into the whole thing of a TV show, just keeping the game pure in my mind. At least the first game.
Yeah, I'm looking up the total sales records of the two games, and I'm looking here, and okay. All right, so this is no contest. Okay, this is exactly what I'm going to bring these over here. We very rarely do this here, but bear with us, folks. Here, this is just to kind of prove a point of solid facts, and you'll see why we say what we say, which is, basically, I just want to point out real quick, says that the Last of Us, the original game, sold 20 million units worldwide, period. And The Last of Us 2, so as of June 2022, which is not that far ago, 6 months ago, sold 10 million. It sold half as many as that. That is crazy. You have to understand the levels of what that means for a video game. Back in PlayStation 3 era, which is The Last of Us, like, it was 20 million. So for a video game to sell that well, so yeah, the second one did good, but not as well as the first one was groundbreaking. I would say, I would argue anyway.
And understand that, like, the second one came out right during the pandemic, when people were looking for something to play, while they were cooped up at home, and the fact that didn't happen.
Yep, bring it home. You brought it home. Yeah, the fact that it didn't happen, it should have done. It should. I mean, they teed it up, but anyway, moving on. Yeah. No, I look forward to I am semi curious, but like, now that we
to be perfectly honest, I am not going to watch the show unless you watch it and convince me otherwise.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to watch 15 minutes, maybe half hour of the season 1. I'm known for I'm pretty sure I'm known for this. Like, I'll first episode, I'll give it a go, but second, I don't know, man. I don't show up. Sometimes I don't show up, but anyway.
Hey, tell you what.
And then I'll play. I was going to say, I'll play 30 minutes of the video game, and I'm probably going to get hooked into the video game, and whichever one gets me hooked, boom, that's the one.
Yeah. The Last of Us is on HBO Max. I like having a show going on for HBO Max, and I didn't have anything going, and I turned up on Succession by HBO Max, and I started watching that show, and I'm hooked on that show. So I've been watching that.
Let me bring it up here while you talk about it.
Yeah, it's Succession. It's about this family of multi-millionaire business It's got Brian Cox as the main guy. But yeah, it's basically about a rich family dealing with
Oh,
you know
yeah,
yeah
yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah. Mhm.
dad yeah he suffers a stroke in the first episode, and they kind of deal with the trials and tribulations, and then
Brian Cox. Yep.
yeah, Kieran Culkin is one of the guys. I like the Culkins. The one of the Culkins was in the black metal uh movie that we
Oh,
watched
Jesus
with Lords
Christ.
of
Yes, he
Chaos.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he was. He was
Yeah.
definitely in that movie. Good
Yeah.
God.
So yeah, I always like the Culkins. And you have Cameron from Ferris Bueller in the show. But yeah,
It's true.
it's an entertaining show. Again, it's about a family. It's HBO drama,
All right.
basically.
I saw buzz about this. I think the whole show is over now, but I think I saw some friends that I respect. They were really into it and they were talking about it.
Mhm.
And I think I didn't try to watch it from I tried to watch I tried to. I don't know. Maybe how many seasons or how many episodes you got to get into it before you get hooked.
I'm like 3 episodes in, and I'm
All
hooked.
right. All right.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and look.
I think there's 3 seasons, and there's going to be a fourth. Brian Cox, he was my favorite Hannibal Lecter. Until Mads Mikkelsen played Hannibal in the TV series, but Brian
Hmm.
Cox is still
You said that before
one of
too.
my favorites. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. To give it a look. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, there is a lot of really good content on did I finish that thread up? Yep. There's a lot of really good content on HBO Max, really. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna market it all. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Would you want to go to oh, that's the picks. Well, let's cover Fangoria here.
Yeah, I just threw this out there because, well, let's kick something that's dead. Zombies. You got The Walking Dead. The main show's starting to end, and they have 3 other series that they're getting ready to start up for The Walking Dead. So much like a zombie, it's shambling into the future here.
Oh my goodness. Hold on one second here.
All
My
right, all
stuff's
right.
all going crazy.
Yeah, I see that.
I had some kind of a kernel crash or some crap happen. My NVIDIA, I use NVIDIA broadcast. Hopefully, let's bring it back here. Okay. Hopefully, you can see the screen. If not, you
I
know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to reshare it because I don't know what kind of gremlins are going on here, but
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not having that crap. Oh, wrong one. Oopsie.
oopsie.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the research screen.
That's that's you. Yeah. Yeah. The Walking Dead comic book series is long dead. That's been finished. They're finishing up the regular series, and the second series, Fear of the Walking Dead, is I think finishing up as well. They're going to start up 3 new series. I think one with Daryl,
What?
one with Link, the main guy from the original series, and
Oh,
Michonne, and then another series.
no,
But yeah, there's 3 new series starting up.
no, 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 no. And look, I love The Walking Dead. I I was into The Walking Dead before anybody knew any. When it was a mini series and it looked like it wasn't going to go anywhere on AMC. I remember that. I remember that. And then it just went on too long. I think, in my opinion, I stopped watching it after they got to the Lion King, the King dude, theater production King, whatever that story arc. I was once Rick once Rick was out. I was in for a season after that, and then I was done. But hey, more power to you. But I will
Hey,
say one of my favorite episodes was Days Gone By. I can't remember. I think it was season 5. Anyway, go on. Let's see.
If you want a good zombie show, watch We Are All Dead on Netflix. It's a Korean zombie show. I'm only about 3 episodes in. I recommend it. It's fast zombies. So that's the thing in this show. But yeah, it's a takes place the main part of the story takes place in a high school. And yeah, it's have you seen Train to Busan? Maybe we could watch that at some point.
No, I have. No,
all right,
not no.
we will have to watch that on our main podcast at one point. But yeah, this is a great show. There's the first season's out on Netflix. They have been approved for a second season, so there'll be a second season of this. But yeah, it's fast, ugly zombies, and yeah, I think it's well worth watching if you're kind of burned out on Walking Dead zombies.
All right. I will definitely have to. And it says for the promotional campaign in Thailand, it says that they used a fake bloody school bus with LED screens playing clips of teenagers stuck inside. So one of the 2 hallmarks of a good zombie flick or whatever are 2 things. One is marketing, and the second is the actual content. So I think they got that nailed for sure. So that happened in Thailand. I wish that would have happened. Well, actually, if it would have happened here, people who knows what would have happened.
Right. You never know.
All right, moving on. We got some John Carpenter. Moving on in horror.
Oh yeah.
We got John Carpenter here.
Yeah, I think this is sort of like them kind of softly pushing John Carpenter back into directing. They did the 3 Halloween movies, which they got John Carpenter to be executive producer of. This is Blumhouse being executive producer of, and also doing the music too. So I think this is about them kind of wooing him back into directing a movie for Blumhouse. And I think that's a perfect fit for John Carpenter. In this article, he basically says his condition is that he needs to watch the basketball season. Be able to watch his basketball. So make sure it happens between that. But that's yeah, he'd be interested into doing a new movie. So that's great to hear. Maybe we'll see a new John Carpenter movie here shortly.
Well, this is the James Cameron effect. James Cameron, known to make. You don't bet against James Cameron, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't bet against him. You don't bet against Elon, or you don't bet against Bezos, or I don't know. Pick your super Bruce Wayne type, whatever. But John Carpenter knows a thing or two, and it's really best to listen to him if he wants to come back. So I look forward to. Of course, we've barely dipped into his catalog for sure, and we are definitely going to be going back to that well for sure. All things being equal. Speaking of DC, we slide into some Matt Reeves. Which actually has nothing to do with DC. Never mind.
No, yeah. He directed the latest Batman movie, so yeah, he's very much DC.
Okay, good God, I was sick of there. Had a brain fart because I'm old. I'm a boomer. That makes sense. All right, cool. All right, good. Right. All right, so my tie-in worked. Anyway, if I didn't just anyway, moving on. I can solder better than I can make segues. Let's put that way.
You gave the tie-in and then stepped all over it. But he says he's not opposed to doing another Cloverfield movie, which that's a franchise that isn't dead yet. So yeah, I'm sure that would be interesting.
I loved all of them. Then I really loved the one. I don't think we covered it. Well, did we cover it? We didn't cover the Dan Goodman one, did we? I don't think we did.
The John Goodman one?
Yeah, excuse
No,
me,
no,
John Goodman.
we hadn't talked about that one. So yeah,
All right,
that would
yeah,
be one we might want to cover in the future. But yeah.
that's right. Yeah, no, I remember seeing that a couple years before we started our thing. Anyway, the point being, I remember I liked it a lot, and I don't think that I think that they're in the same universe, but they're not. I don't know, but I would
Hmm.
always say yes to another Cloverfield because it was good.
Hmm.
I enjoyed both of them. The one that
Yeah,
was
and
when Netflix had some game for sure, for
hmm
damn sure.
yeah, yeah, and it's always any franchise that plays with the genre or plays with the style or how it's done, it's always exciting and fun. If it's a play by numbers kind of like a movie, I
Mm,
lose interest. It's
right.
like with the new Marvel movies and Star Wars movies, they're kind of getting to play by numbers, kind of put in this and that to make a movie. You kind of lose interest. As far as me, so anything that kind of steps out of the box and tries to do something different is always interesting to me.
Yeah, they. I was trying to find the next thing I wanted to cover. I'll let that go. Um, it was tying into DC. Bear with me here. I'm sorry.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, there is a new. I'll pull it up here in the meantime. But anyway, the bottom line is there's a new DC animated film coming out, a movie
Hmm.
that they're going to release soon, and I'll pull it up here in a little bit. But basically, it looks really good. And I would say I heard this opinion, and I can't. I'll have to track it down. But somebody said, and they were very opinionated. This is probably your fault a little bit because like I'm much more active on Twitter, which is fine, which is a good problem. Don't get me wrong. But he said that don't bother with any of the Marvel stuff. Don't even bother keeping up. Don't bother. He goes, go watch the DC animated movies, which are pretty much one-offs, and you'll have so much more better value of that. You know what? I agree with that opinion, and I have said this before, like probably about 6 months ago or so. DC HBO Max has a deep, deep DC catalog of those animated films. Pick any one of them.
Hmm.
You'll be happy. You'll be happy you did because they do a very good job with those, and they're always good. They're not like super great or whatever, but in my opinion, but they're a recommendation for me. Anyway, I'll put that in the show notes there. Moving on. I think we're rolling up to recommendations here.
Actually, I think
Or
we're
no.
into cringe quarter, aren't we?
Oh,
We need to talk about
that's right. Yeah,
Dark Side Phil.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, cringe corner.
All right. All right. Dark Side Phil. Are you familiar with Dark Side Phil?
This is new to me. I don't know what.
All right. Well, all right. That's a good thing not to be familiar with him.
All right, all
Which
right.
I guess I'm bad and I'm introducing him to you. Dark Side Phil, he's a lolcow, as they call it. One of those guys that used to be um Christian was like the leader of the lolcows. But he did something very terrible with his mother that has cast him into Mordor, that we do not talk about Christian anymore. So it kind of raised up DarksydePhil. DarksydePhil, he started off as a competitive player, I think for Street Fighter, in one of those fighting games. And he's kind of made his career through YouTube playing video games. He also went to Twitch. He got unpartnered with Twitch and he's back to YouTube. Basically, at this point, he streams video games, playing video games. But to get the sense of his beginning of his career, they did a video called Down the Rabbit Hole DarksydePhil that I'm recommending for by Fredrik Knudsen. He
Okay.
covers like the very first few years of DarksydePhil. Now the interesting thing about this guy uh is how he relates to the internet culture. Um
Mm.
you know how there's a thing about scientific observation, whereas when you observe something, that when you observe it,
Oh,
that you
right.
make a you have an effect on it.
Yep.
And I think that's
Quantum.
very much in play here. um so it's kind of hard to decide how much there is an effect of outside sources on this person. Basically, um, you have to kind of feel sorry for him in a sense, in that he's living his life on the internet and he's playing video
Mm.
games, but you also have this outside source of these detractors that are also attacking him. And and you almost feel sorry for him in the sense that why are these people attacking him?
Mm.
They are attacking him uh just because he's playing video games. Why is that interesting, and why are they doing that, and how is that affecting him? But you also have to understand that he also is very much, he lies to his audience. He also he gets in this relationship that he has with his audience. He also he makes his money from these streams and begging for money. So he's
Right.
begging for money.
Mm.
And he's also uh very much lying as far as what he does with the money that they're giving him. There's also he's very interesting. I'm also including various links to various um uh videos on him. But yeah, he's um but yeah, he's very interesting guy.
For sure. Yeah. Well, definitely have to check it out. Great corner.
But
He
yeah,
sounds like a modern day YouTuber, honestly, like a grifter, like the very
yeah,
definition of grifting.
he does grift. But yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy between there's the people that obsess and view him. There's I watch them too, the people that minutely look at exactly what he does. That's almost another psychosis of them obsessing on this particular person as far as what he does, and they minutely catalog. They also um broke the law and cracked his login for his bank account,
Oh
so that they could find
no.
out exactly what what he spent his
No.
money on. And
No.
yeah, and so they found out that he was spending a lot of his money on a WWE gotcha game on mobile.
Oh no.
It's so yeah, there's like this obsessive predatory obsession between his detractors, his trolls, and himself. And you'd almost feel very much sorry for Phil because of this, but he's also so much a liar. And he's a kind of a toxic person himself, that you can't feel that much sympathy for the person. That there's
Oh
like
no.
this weird dichotomy between his detractors and Phil. But yeah, the videos that I recommend are Down the Rabbit Hole, which gives you a
Right.
really good view of his early career. I also recommended his I think top 10 fails of 2020 2020. I think I did. Did I give you that link?
I might not have scooped up
Okay.
it might be my, well, I'm trying to find it here real quick.
All right.
It wasn't too long ago, was it? Well, actually,
No,
this
no.
stuff had
Yeah.
some age on it.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole.
It's not on
Wow.
on that one. Let's see. Let
Mm,
me find it here.
yeah, let me go back and look at our chat. I killed my chat thing anyway. Oh yeah, while you're doing that, I did find the thing that I was talking about, which is the Batman, the Doom. I'll throw that in my thanks. Don't go to YouTube, please. Thank you very much. It is
But
4
yeah,
days ago.
I just sent it to you.
All right, cool. Let me
Yeah.
come back over here. Okay. Oh, you know what? Oh, that's my fault. I had it. All right. It was up. I grouped it in the wrong one. Anyway, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, and
you.
It's a Gundam also did a video recently, which I'll send you to as well.
He does great. He does great work.
Yeah, he did a recent commentary on his video as well on DSP. But yeah, it's one of the interesting thing about these lolcows in these cringe corners is that you almost want to side with the person that they're all bagging on, because you always want to side with the victim on these, but but they, once you start to investigate these people, they they always turn out to be a bit of a scumbag as well. So it's like, how can you actually side with either side? But yeah, it's kind of fun.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's why it's kind of like you have to be careful with like where you want to go to the water's edge, see what's up, maybe a few feet back from that, versus like going all in and like waiting in the waiting pool, and then you have. Well, that's very true for many internet controversies. Some are legit, some are very much pretend and artificial.
Yeah.
We've covered that in depth with Proskurian and Sessler and Kevin Smith and God knows, there's so many people that idiot comedian that thinks he's a comedian. That guy, that last cringe corner, one of the big ones of 2022.
Yeah, I think I didn't really come into it very much prepared for DSP, so yeah, you kind of look into those videos that I gave you. But yeah, the ultimate cringe guy is Wings of Redemption, which I think we'll talk about in a a little bit. I'll try to be a little bit more prepared for him. But yeah, the DSP is like one of the titans of cringe corner culture. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that make their career off of just following this particular guy. And the one of the channels that I watch is Call of Duty, which duty is spelled like the poo poo. Yeah. Which all his channel is him following DSP, and it's very much funny. I enjoy watching that. But yeah, you realize how obsessed this guy is over this particular guy, and you realize that there's a line between obsessing and becoming the thing that you obsess over.
Right.
And
true.
Yeah, there's you have to realize that you are becoming what you are trying to criticize.
There's a lot of that hypocrisy going around with these personalities for sure, which we're kind of floating around some other things. But yeah, no, that's very true. Well,
Mm,
grifting is the name of the game, and that
mhm,
is a YouTube. I think probably grifter was probably not in the lexicon like it is in 2022. Then boom, or
mhm,
maybe in 2021. But anyway, moving on.
mhm.
Word up. Well, we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens.
Yep, yep. Mhm.
Okay. I was gonna say. I was gonna finish this out real quick. Just there's just a new Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham, DC animated that's out. Is I was gonna say. Anyway, should be down with the Reeves thing. I think that's when I was talking. I was yapping about it. Uh, I think we're secession. 10 of the worst things. I think we are. Yeah, we covered that. I think we're ready to go to the recommendations if
All
you're
right.
good.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Cool, cool. All right. So you have Simon. You have a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through this book.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by Michael Moorcock, Elric, Melniboné, I think is how you pronounce it. But
I
yeah,
would say.
it's yeah, it's yeah, he started writing this character back in the 1960s, and I was
All right.
familiar with him back when I was a kid, and I was always interested in this character, but I never started reading this guy. But yeah, I just decided like last year I read Dune, and I was like, okay, this year I'm reading this guy. So I started reading it, and but yeah, he's written a few different stories on it. This book by Saga Press includes 4 different novels. Now the book is 750 pages, so you realize that the novels aren't very long. Like the first novel is 160 pages, and I think the
Okay.
second one's like 200. I've read the first two. Man, I love this character. Basically, it's fantasy, but he doesn't like um Lord of the Rings. Basically, he doesn't like the whole um very patriotic, okay, we'll go to this uh this quest to solve this thing. The character is very much a moody character that's hooked on drugs, that uh that is trying to be uh this guy that promotes
Yeah.
justice, but he's coming from a flawed place. He's this albino emperor of this dying race
Okay.
that is he's trying to and this race is very much kind of iconoclastic, sort of against society, that they're right, everybody else is wrong, and he's trying to promote justice within the society. uh, but he aligns himself with the Lord of Chaos and gets the sword that eats souls, that
Oh,
promotes
okay.
his health. So
Man,
there's
this is some gnarly stuff. I was gonna cuss there. I you got me.
yeah, yeah, he's yeah, it plays on this idea of fantasy being pure of heart.
All
This
right.
is a character that is corrupted from the beginning, that is trying to find a purity of heart through chaos. And
Nice.
yeah, it's he started writing the character in the 1960s, and so yeah, it's a character that's lasted for
Classic.
decades now.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, this series, it's up to like it's running 4 volumes. Like I said, I'm halfway through the first volume right here. I'm reading it. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it's a character that I was really interested in, and the last time I kind of thought about reading him, was back in the early 2000s,
Okay.
back when we were working together, and I just
Yeah.
finished reading the Conan series. But they put out a series from the same publisher, but they were publishing the stories as they came out. Whereas this new series kind of does it chronologically. So
Okay.
like when he first started publishing it, is like, well, he wrote the stories of the character from this period and this period, whereas this book kind of puts it in perspective of, okay, well, this is the origin of the character, and
Right.
this is the second book of the character. Yeah, kind of tells it as far as how it happens, as far as the story, as opposed to where it came out publication wise.
Right. Right. Well, that's good. That's good. Oh, well, I can see there's a whole thing here, and this is
Uh-huh.
not like reading at all. This is um,
Yeah.
24 hours. That's fun by me. I'm
Yeah.
actually good. The
Yeah. That.
longer it is, the better it is, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. And that's yeah. And that
Yeah,
first one is four novels.
yeah. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna have
Mhm.
to. We might pull this out and do a longer review on it for the
Yeah,
main
yeah.
show.
What I wanted to
For sure.
do is, once I finish the book, is actually do a review. So, but if
Yeah,
you wanted
we will.
to do some reading on it as well, we
Yep.
could do that once you read some as well.
Yeah, my sci-fi well is kind of going a little dry here because good God, I plowed through a
Yeah, that
ton of sci-fi
yeah.
books.
This I'll say is the the writing of the characters is really really good. Um, the the I love it. I kind of compare it a little bit to comic books in that they're sort of like these characters are um kind of larger than life characters, but he really digs into them so that they're very human, so that you can invest into them. But the way he tells the story is very dramatic and very invested in that, almost comic book in like in the epic nature of the stories. But he doesn't lose touch to what the characters are feeling, so that you really dig into the characters and are really invested on what happens with the characters. In that like the first book kind of tells the origin of the character, and then the second book kind of tells almost a isolated adventure of the character. But I almost love the second book even more because of what he does with the character and how he explores the character in the uh ancillary characters involved in it. It's each book aren't independent of each other, so that
Right.
you don't have to read one book to understand the other. But having read both of them, is like it just kind of adds to both of them.
Well, that's just like any good, really, really good author of
Mhm,
any genre, novel, story series, mainly fictional. You have that they know how to weave 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 way better than
mhm,
this is where I'll get on my high horse a little bit. Books are superior to movies, period.
mhm.
End of discussion. And I say
Yeah.
that because that you cannot do the same thing. You cannot tie 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. You cannot do that as well as you can with books because you have the
Oh.
time and the space. So you are ringing my bell, my friend. So I will
Oh,
definitely be checking this out sooner the better.
I will say this, that both Game of Thrones and The Witcher are both inspired by this book, and
Really? Oh,
they are trying to make a either a TV series or a movie series
okay.
off of these books, but they're saying they're too much a derivative of Game of Thrones and
Shut up.
and The
Shut
Witcher,
up.
which
No.
is yeah.
No.
And to be honest, like the first book is very much tied into this weird interplay of family drama and weirdness that really ties into the House of Dragons. And if you look at
No
the
way.
Matt Smith character with his long blonde hair,
Yeah.
the character of Elric is this
That's who,
albino character,
no
and
kidding.
the outfit he wears in the first episode of House of Dragons, where he
Yeah.
does the challenge, between him and the other guy,
So
with
good.
the black armor and the
Right.
dragon headdress. That's
Right. Episode 1.
exactly
Right.
that is what Elric wears for his armor.
It's pretty bad. That is BA. That is rude.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
and the Witcher character is absolutely a rip off of Elric.
So what you're telling me is that this is the Dune of the fantasy world, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna be on. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna put it out, and I definitely. This is not surprising anybody, but as far, in my opinion, if you take the modern Star Wars versus what we got with Dune, no contest, and I would even go so far as to say that Dune is superior to Star Wars, and that it came before it, and that doesn't mean that Star Wars is bad. I'm not bad mouthing Star Wars. I'm just saying the same concepts that are these the when you have a master writer like this. I don't even know anything about this guy, but you can tell that. Well, yeah, thank you. You just filled up my reading list for the next.
Yeah, like I said, if you
future.
if you buy this book, like the first novel is only 160 pages, so read that, decide whether or not you like this guy. But I'm guaranteeing you'll like this guy. He writes very excited. He writes very engaging fantasy stories, but very much in an interesting way. And I can understand why his stuff doesn't translate well to say a traditional movie, because the main character is so challenged. He has a darkness to his character that doesn't lend itself easily to the hero Saga, but he's a hero but also a villain. So yeah, it's more of a kind of a today's kind of situation, but they've already have duplicated that character in lesser form as far as The Witcher, and Game of Thrones is obviously a well-written saga, but it's I would love to see Elric as a movie. I think he would work best as a movie as opposed to a TV series, but because each of the novels kind of fit well in the in the movie kind of trope, but yeah, even if they did a TV series, I would love that as well.
Sure. No. Well, and I noticed that Neil Gaiman is did the forward here, and I just want to shout out to him on Audible. He wrote this book, Norse mythology. It's a quick read, relatively speaking. It's a pretty quick read, but it was very good. This is good. I just wanted to shout that out. That came out like about 5 years ago or so. Anyway, even more recommendations, but yeah, I gotta say this is good.
Yeah, and
I badly
actually,
need this to have a better reading list.
Yeah, and to promote Neil Gaiman on his forward on this, they picked it's actually a short story that he wrote, that sort of like is about a character that is very much enamored with Elric as a character. It's a short story about this kid that is going through middle school and is reading this character, and how that character affects him as a character. But yeah, it's a really engaging short story that they actually included in this, that which is a really good short story. I highly recommend to read. Don't pass over that when you're reading this book.
No, I will not. Well, I typically take things from the beginning to the end. I don't skip around like I do in like movies or shows like that I'm annoyed with. That I just want to get to the point. Like Obi-Wan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. I fast forwarded through the entire season for two scenes. One, the duel with him and Darth, and the very last 30 seconds of the show. Oh well. Anyway, bad Mike. No, this is cool. This has got me excited. We will definitely be pulling this into the main show,
All right, cool.
and I hope
Yeah, yeah.
not too long.
Another addendum to this is, like I said on Facebook that I was going ahead and reading this book, and I had forgot that I had given the first two novels to my younger sister to read, and she hadn't read them yet. And she sent me a picture of those two novels and said, "Oh yeah, you gave me those to read." And I was like, "Oh man, you need to read these with me." And she goes, "I think I will." So
That's awesome.
hopefully she'll read along with us.
Good times, good times. And that rolls us up into your YouTube pick of the week, which was we kind of just sort of touched on it
Yeah.
here. This gentleman.
Yeah. To go in a little bit deeper, he does a a deep dive into various subjects, which hence the name Down the Rabbit Hole. He goes down the rabbit hole of various different things, which could include various historical events along with lolcows. Like I said, he did do a thing on DSP, DarksydePhil, that I talked about. Another one that I had kind of hinted on, Wings of Redemption. He did a 2 hour video on him, but yeah, he does a um, yeah, he does a deep dive on various things, things that are maybe inconsequential, that are just kind of internet lore that mean nothing, and then he'll do like some historical stuff. But
Okay,
any video that you pick will be interesting. Uh,
awesome.
I I recommend picking anything, and I enjoy his voice. He also has one on Christian as well. Like I said,
Oh, okay,
Christian is a bit of a lolcow that has kind of uh yeah, he goes beyond lolcow at this point
that's
into
funny.
criminal criminal activity, but yeah.
No kidding. Cool, awesome. Well, yeah, this kind of rolls up to my picks of the week. Just real quick, I got a bunch of books I'm going to roll through. This one by J.F. Holmes, Invasion, the complete 3-book set, came out a couple years ago. It really is from start to finish a pretty complete series, and basically it's like after humanity was invaded, what happens next. So like a buried kind of humanity
Mhm.
resistance. Really nasty aliens, and it's pretty gory, but it borrows a lot from military, and that I don't think that it's military sci-fi, but it probably is rolling up on that anyway. This one is pretty good. Check it out. I definitely recommend that. It's okay. It's good. It's entertaining. It's a commitment, 16 hours, but it's not that much. And this is split over 3 books anyway.
Mhm.
So they rolled this up into 3 books. So really, the first 3 books are a lot shorter than this. So I
Mhm.
think it's like 6 or 7 hours, not even, maybe more like I don't know, maybe more like 5.5 hours per book. Anyway, this one is another one that I really enjoyed, and I was sad when it was done. It's by William Lee Gordon, and this one is basically um, what happens when we come into contact with another alien, kind of like what if, classic kind of sort of thing, and it rolls up to it's very space operatic, I would say it's very broad ranging. You go from 1 to 2 to 3 in no time flat. But anyway, there's a trilogy here. Here comes Earth. Well, actually, it's out of order. Destiny is book 2, and then Diaspora is book 3. A good. I would recommend this one over the Invasion one, but they're still good. You want something to listen to in the background. This is a good choice. And then kind of rolling into my very weak YouTube picks over the last several weeks. I haven't really had an original one. I don't necessarily have one on topic, but just kind of like a fun kind of thing. This guy is a master mechanic by Script Garage, and he just has a very unique personality that like a car guy would. And his kind of shtick is that he will find some piece of junk, barn find, abandoned for years, flat tires, all that stuff, and he will basically go through and make it roadworthy, and he will attempt to drive it back home. 100 miles, several hundred miles, 1,000 miles, like these kind of things kind of go on and on. But he's just very entertaining personality, and I fell into this one definitely from like I like it because it talks about a lot of different cars that I grew up with, as a kid or otherwise. But anyway, just good, wholesome YouTube kind of thing that I recommend. That's not necessarily nerdy. Well, it's nerdy. It's definitely nerdy from the mechanically inclined kind of folks. Even if you just like to watch car shows or whatever, like it's very wholesome and good. But that's my recommendation. And I think that's us coming up on the caboose here.
Actually, I'd like to add a little bit something at
Sure.
the end here. I like to talk about synchronicity.
Sure.
I know this is a little strange, but yeah, I don't know if you experience it that much, but I find there's a sense of synchronicity that happens a lot of times with what I do when I read. One of the times, I think about a year back, I was reading the novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is by Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
But yeah, I was reading that, and there's a chapter where the Brad Pitt character goes out to watch a movie with this girl that he is interested in. And it's not in the movie, but it's it's about that character's kind of analysis of that movie. So he does that movie analysis, and I read that chapter, and then about a day or two later, I read a I was also doing at that time 100-issue read of Amazing Spider-Man. I think I told you about that.
Yeah. You talked that was 2021's goal. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember that. Yep.
So I was reading that at the same time, and about a day or two later, I read an issue of Amazing Spider-Man where Amazing Spider-Man asked Gwen Stacy out on a date to see a movie, and he referenced that movie. And that synchronicity of having that movie being referenced in the book and then the comic book at the same time was very interesting to me. And then in the past month, I was watching a TV series. I don't think I've talked about it here, about his Dark Material, which is on HBO Max. The third season just finally wrapped up, which basically kind of deals with a group of people fighting against God. And at the same time, I was reading the Spawn Omnibus #4, which is basically about the war between heaven and hell, which kind of deals with the same thing. And I was also reading a book of short stories by Matt Carden, called Rousing the Leviathan, which is kind of inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, but is in a Christian kind of perspective of viewing things. So it's kind of horror movie or horror stories inspired by this cosmic horror, but in a Christian kind of sense. So those three kind of things kind of congealed together in a kind of synchronistic kind of sense. But yeah, I kind of find it interesting that I always find these times where everything kind of lines up and kind of makes sense together, but independently they all kind of come together at once.
Yeah, I think you
Uh,
covered that series like maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a month, but it's
mhm.
probably back in December that you mentioned that one that was like the kind of the Christian dome kind of
Yeah,
thing, like
yeah,
put it in a different
yeah.
universe or different perspective,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, have you had that experience where you're like
Oh
like
yeah, oh
find
yeah,
that kind of, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and it makes you kind of question how things kind of happen, and how happenstance things are, or
I,
how things
I
happen
yeah,
at,
I would
you
say
know.
what you're talking about is like a little bit of serendipity, a little bit of
Hmm.
fate, a little bit of destiny, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I found that some things like actually to call on history, I remember being on the desk and working, and then like it was crazy. It would be like at least three things that would come up that were kind of related,
Hmm.
not to a big make like root cause issue, but like things that like were I was reading about, or I was just working on this a couple days ago, or that kind of thing. Same thing, but for books, absolutely, yeah. Or we're just talking about it, it just kind of organically comes up.
Hmm.
And I've had that with people, place, things, media, books. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, for sure. or
Hmm.
or you'll get that tickling in the back of your head of like,
Right.
I've come across this before, like, or why does this seem so familiar to me? Like, I absolutely
Absolutely. Yeah.
have felt that for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, that's a good note to end it on for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if perchance you out in the audience have experienced that, let us know
Please.
about it.
Absolutely. And tell us what you're looking forward to and all the things that we did. We kind of had a bigger show. That's fine. But
Hmm.
and in that case, we're back, and now
Hmm.
we're back in the saddle, and look forward to us next week. We'll be looking into 12 Monkeys, something about that.
Hmm.
Maybe Bruce Willis. I don't know. Maybe something or other. Who knows? Who knows? We'll
It
see.
will
We'll see
be
what's going on.
crazy and going over 12 monkeys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait for that one. That'll be good.
Yeah,
All right. I've been Mike.
and I'm Thomas.
We'll see you.
See you later.